After following the same advice, some men see changes quickly. Energy improves. Fat loss begins. Momentum builds. Others apply the same changes and feel almost nothing. No clear improvement. Persistent fatigue. Slow or inconsistent progress. This difference is frustrating, especially when effort appears equal. But the reason is not effort. It lies in how much flexibility remains in the system. When metabolic regulation is relatively intact, small changes create noticeable effects. The system still has room to adapt. Signals adjust smoothly. Energy access improves with minimal resistance. In this state, the body responds quickly. Progress feels encouraging because the system can still correct itself. But when regulation is more rigid, the same changes barely register. Signals are already strained. Energy access remains restricted. Compensation dominates adaptation. In this state, the system resists change. It is not broken, but it is buffered against correction. This buffering is protective. The body prioritizes stability over improvement when regulation has narrowed. This is why some men require much tighter conditions to see the same response. Not because they need more discipline, but because their margin for adaptation is smaller. A flexible system responds to a nudge. A nudge assumes the system can absorb change without threat. When regulation is flexible, change feels safe. Signals adjust. Energy remains available. Stability is preserved. But when regulation is rigid, even small changes are interpreted as stress. The system tightens. Compensation increases. Progress slows or disappears. This is why responsiveness is not a matter of motivation. It is a matter of how much disturbance the system can tolerate. Some bodies can bend. Others can only brace. And bracing looks like resistance. This is why two men can apply the same change and feel opposite effects. One feels relief. The other feels strain. Not because the advice is wrong, but because the system receiving it is different. Responsiveness depends on safety. When the body senses enough margin, it allows adaptation. When margin is low, it restricts change to protect stability. A rigid system requires containment. This distinction matters. When flexibility is present, small adjustments feel effective. When flexibility is low, those same adjustments feel invisible or even destabilizing. This explains why advice that works easily for one man feels ineffective for another. It also explains why progress, when it finally appears, may feel fragile or easily reversed. As rigidity increases, responsiveness decreases. The system becomes cautious. It reacts defensively to change rather than adapting smoothly. This defensive response is not failure. It is information. It tells us that regulation is narrowed and buffering capacity is limited. At this stage, progress depends less on what has changed and more on how safely the system can respond. This is why interpretation alone eventually becomes insufficient. Structure begins to matter, not as control, but as containment. Understanding whether your system can respond to nudges or requires containment becomes essential. In the next video, we will look at why structure stabilizes progress when flexibility is low, and why control alone often backfires. On this channel, I explain metabolism using medical science. This video is for educational purposes only. This is not medical advice. Always consult your physician.